picture for us is still very bad. I mean, the story overall of coronavirus in the world now remains the massive size of America's epidemic, the national level federal failure of the U.S. to handle this responsibly, and the way it has therefore run away with us as a country. There are currently more than 425,000 cases in the United States. That's bigger than the other three largest epidemics on Earth combined. More than 14,500 Americans have died. 1,916 of them have died in the last day, which means one American is dying on average every 45 seconds from coronavirus. And still, it's this patchwork response. Still, there are U.S. states that don't think it's a big deal and haven't had any national instruction to take it any more seriously, so they're not. The Arkansas governor, Asa Hutchinson, now insisting that not only will there be no statewide stay-at-home order in Arkansas, he is overtly blocking any county or city in Arkansas from initiating their own measures to slow the virus. He is stopping them from doing so if they want to. In Arkansas, they've already hit about 1,000 cases. They're already about to hit 1,000 cases. Maybe they just want to see how high they can go. In Iowa, they're already over 1,000 cases, over 20% of whom are health workers. The Iowa Medical Board begging Governor Kim Reynolds for a statewide stay-at-home order. But Iowa's governor is refusing that too because, okay, sure, why not? In Kansas, the Democratic governor there, Laura Kelly, did institute a statewide stay-at-home order and a ban on large gatherings. Today, Republicans in the Kansas state legislature overturned the ban on large gatherings. Apparently because they want Kansans gathering together in large numbers right now. I mean, Republicans in every state don't have their heads screwed on the same way about this. You're seeing that in Kansas. You're seeing stuff like what we've seen from the Republican governors in Iowa and Arkansas. I get it. But for example, Maryland's Republican governor, Larry Hogan, is going the opposite direction. Today, he, for example, formed a multi-agency strike force to try to help out the dozens of nursing homes and long-term care facilities in Maryland that have coronavirus cases already. Maryland has a stay-at-home order. Maryland has asked for ventilators from other states. Maryland is now acting as best it can to try to approach the devastating problem in these congregate living facilities that are so vulnerable to this virus. That seems good. Because nursing homes have been hit so hard everywhere in the country, of course, there ought to be national guidance and national effort and assistance here for those incredibly critical, vulnerable populations and facilities. But this federal government doesn't do that. The Trump administration doesn't do things like that. I mean, there also ought to be a national testing plan, but this administration doesn't do that either. The Washington Post today with a devastating report on how every state is still just doing for themselves when it comes to testing. Even now, even 3 months into this thing. There ought to be national guidance on how to limit the spread of the virus through stay-at-home policies and social distancing. But states are still making that up as they go too, with no federal direction, including some states just deciding to not do it at all because the White House hasn't told them they should. But here's what all that looks like in the end for us. I just have one more thing to show you here. Here's what this looks like. This animated graphic I'm about to show you was produced by the BBC. And they are using data here from Johns Hopkins University. And what you're going to see here is a graphic that shows the progression of how the coronavirus pandemic spread throughout the world. This thing is only about 40 seconds. It is worth watching the whole thing. I particularly want you to watch when the part at the bottom of your screen, the part that shows the time frame that we're in, I want you to particularly watch when it gets to the very beginning of March. Okay, all right, let's start it. So as you can see, by late January, China was dealing with an explosive outbreak. But even as that country started to grapple with tens of thousands of cases, the rest of the world remained largely unscathed. By late February, however, there's South Korea, there's Italy, there's Iran, all reporting thousands of cases. And now here, watch what happens at the beginning of March. Look at the speed at which the US epidemic starts to take off. By the end of March, we have surpassed everyone. And from that point on, cases in the US continue to grow with astonishing speed by the thousands and then by the tens of thousands, and nobody is even close. That is the proof in the pudding. That is the data that shows a failed national response, the worst failed national response on earth, right? How our response is an international disaster because of the way our unchecked, unmitigated spread of the virus now dominates the pandemic worldwide and dominates the human prevalence of this virus on earth. I mean, patchwork, late, denialist, fantasist, uncoordinated, inept, unscientific confusion in national policy leads to a runaway disaster. I mean, we do have to build on the few places that have been getting it right in our country and learn from them. And we need to support the places that are being overrun. But at 500,000 cases now in our country and nearly 2,000 American deaths every day now, this has run off with us.